welcome back to episode 16 of the Danger Ranger podcast. I'm your host, Zach Allred. It's been a wild couple of weeks here. I've been pretty busy with a few things with the New Year's, with the current world event of Andrew Tate being arrested and working in the marketing boot camp to support that. And, just kind of getting my mind set and my mind right for 2023. So we're going to talk a little bit about skiing, and we're going to talk a little bit about goal setting and the goals I set for last year for 2022, why I didn't hit them, and then what I'm doing differently this year to hit the current goals that I've got. So first thing, skiing. Went skiing in Park City. It was my second time ever skiing. First time was in 2021. It still feels like last year, with my brother Josh down in Bryan Head in Utah. And did 2 days there, just used his one of his sets of skis and did some rental boots. And he's a pretty good skier, and he was teaching me, pizza, french fry, all that good stuff. Was doing all right, figuring out going on the bunny hill, the first timers hill, and was doing all right there. And he's like, "Oh, you'll be fine. We're gonna go check out this blue. We're gonna hop on this bus and check out this blue run that I really like. It's not too bad. It's not too bad." And so we go over, and I kid you not, I fell like every 20 meters or so. Like, I just didn't know how to cut across the hill, how to, effectively turn, and I didn't know how to stop, which was, a bit traumatic. And it was a long run, and I was literally falling every like 25 meters or so. And I was just swearing him out. I was so mad. I was like, "Why did you take me on this? Like, you should know that I'm not ready for a blue yet, my guy. It's literally my first day ever being on skis in my entire life. Like, what are you doing?" So we went back to the one of the easy green runs, and we just did that the rest of the day. But it did a lot better this year. It came back to me pretty quick. I didn't have my brother with me, so I was kind of, just figuring it out on my own. I got some decent rentals. I had his skis again, but the rental place in Park City I was going to, they had a specific type of boot called, I think they're like grip walk boots, where they have a little bit of tread, so you're not just eating shit when you're walking around without your skis on. And they didn't fit, so I had to rent skis from them, but wasn't too expensive. And just kind of warm myself up on the first timer hill was pretty good. Linked in with a pretty fun group of it was like a couple pilots, like airline pilots, and a nurse who was married to one of the pilots. Linked up with them on the first timer hill, and had a blast with them. And then they're like, "Hey, let's go do one of the longer runs." So went on one of the longer runs, grabbed some food with them. Great day. Second day, just about the same. It was fresh pow both days, my guys. Turning into a bit of a skier, so that was cool. New Year's Eve, we got snowed on overnight, and then New Year's Day was snowing pretty good too. So powder was deep. It was nice, really nice skiing. So that was how I spent my New Year's, and then just been back on the grind of copywriting, making sure my clients are good. And then I still have a few pieces of surplus for sale on my Rockwell Designs website, so go check that out if you want to help me out. There's some interesting pieces on there if you're into NBC, any kind of that stuff. I think I have a full mop suit and canisters and a camelback and boots and gloves and all that stuff. So go check that out. Back on the grind. We're not going to talk about the current events just because it's going on. I will say, however, I will go on record saying I publicly support Andrew Tate. And if you wasn't clear about my previous video, I think that the charges are being brought against him to get him to shut the fuck up, because he is a good force. Like, overall, his message is one of positivity and, being a good person and being a good man and being good at being a man, which is, stuff that I've, believed for a long time. And it's nice to see someone who has so much reach preach and believe the same things that I, preach and believe. So I think that's truly the reason they're trying to get him to shut up, and they're using some bogus human trafficking charges to try and get him to lose credibility. So as of today, I just heard a couple hours ago that he was not approved. Him and Tristan were not approved for early release or bail. Not too sure exactly how the Romanian legal system works. However, they were denied again bail, essentially, before their actual trial date. And there's been really no evidence. Like, their lawyer came out yesterday and was saying that there's no evidence they've seen, besides the statements of some of the victims saying that, oh, he trafficked us and oh, he raped us, whatever. Like, aside from their word, like, there's literally no physical evidence of it happening. They haven't found anything, which is why I think they're holding them, is they're either trying to figure out a way to plant something on them, or they're just trying to find maybe real evidence. But 2 of the 6 girls that have been told that, or that people have been told are coming out against them, 2 of them went on Romanian news yesterday as well and said, hey, we didn't submit, like, this wasn't us submitting and putting, complaints or trying to file charges against Andrew and Tristan. We're not involved in this. We think they're great guys. We don't know why our names are being involved in this. Like, we didn't file against them at all. So it's just really shady on all levels. And it's clear, after they tried to cancel him, that failed. Like, it's very clear that they don't want him, to have as much influence on the world as he does, because he isn't controlled. Like, he's mentioned before in several podcasts that he's had some shadowy individuals approach him. I mean, whether or not you want to believe it, it's up to you. But I think he's a pretty trustworthy guy. He's had individuals come up to him and be like, hey, like, come out to this island, like, oh, like, trying to get him, like, kind of in that more of the cabal. We're not going to get too conspiracy theory here, but trying to get him more involved in, like, the controlled side of, Hollywood and celebrities and stuff. So slightly concerned. I think that he'll come through. I think it's more of a character assassination attempt. I really don't think that they've got anything on him. So we'll see what happens here. So it's going to be another, I don't think they can appeal again. It's going to be 30 days minimum being held now. I think we're on day 12 or 13. Not too sure on the exact number, but anyways, we'll move on. So new year, right? Everyone's got, these big goals and stuff that they want to accomplish. I did last year too. I had a lot of, more financial income goals per se versus, usual, I guess, physical, or, like, oh, I'm going to get in shape this year, because I've maintained my, my physicality decently. Like, I don't need to worry about, of course I can be better, but I don't need to worry about, like, oh, I really need to, like, lose weight kind of thing. It's always like, I need to be just a little bit stronger, maybe a little bit leaner, eat better. So it hasn't ever been like a super huge focus. This year I am trying to overhead press 2 plates. So that's kind of maybe my physical goal. Right now I'm pushing about 180 for 1 strict press with belt and wrist straps. So we're about 45 pounds off of that, which is a lot for the dudes that lift in here. Like shoulder and like overhead press, like that stuff is a grind, and it's super easy to plateau. So gonna figure out a way to get a program going for that. Like I've lifted enough to know what I need to do as far as like progressive overload, so I can kind of figure out my own programs. But if it doesn't end up working after a few months, if I'm not seeing noticeable gains, I'll probably find someone to write me an overhead specific program. So I'm not going to get into too much detail about my goals for 2022. I will say that I didn't meet them. Wasn't even close. And kind of these past couple of days, I've been reflecting back as I'm, starting 2023 and getting into the real grind here of, trying to learn a skill set that will be, highly profitable, which is what I recommend everyone do. So where I fell short last year was I didn't take it as seriously as I needed to. I didn't work. I underestimated the amount of work that it would take to hit those financial goals. I also was in an industry and doing a business with Rockwell Designs that wasn't very scalable for me at the time. And there wasn't enough, possibility for higher margin or higher ticket offers or products within that without doing a massive overhaul and rebranding and, pushing out more advertising and such. But, tactical gear is kind of limited. Like, you have to be a really Gucci brand to be selling something for, $500. Like, that's like a Cry. That's a freaking, I don't know about Eagle Industries, but that's like a Cry level or Patagonia level, or Patagonia doesn't make tactical gear, they make clothes, but it's you have to get to a certain point to be able to charge those prices, and I was already like at the upper limits from what I was making. I felt like, so it's like I can't keep raising prices to to pad my bottom line. So I am going to look into getting back and doing a pre-order for some rigs. So if you watch this far and you're wanting one of my AK rigs, keep an eye out. I'm going to try and reach back out to my potential manufacturer and see if they can honor the original agreement that I had with them before I kind of dropped off on Rockwell. So that was a tangent. So underestimating the work, not in an industry where it was going to be very useful or very profitable for me long term, at least to hit the financial goals that I wanted to hit. And then I didn't do the work. I was more involved. I read so much last year, which was good. I won't say that reading is necessarily bad in and of itself, but it was kind of a cop out for me. It was like, oh, like I need to have all this knowledge. I need to have all this knowledge to be able to go out and do this stuff. And what happens is you get kind of, analysis by paralysis. Like, too much. Like, you don't really need to know a whole lot to get started in something. And then you figure things out as you go. You really, really don't need to read a fuck ton of books to go out and, make money. There's depending on what kind of industry you're in, there's going to be a few that you probably should read prior to, I know for copywriting and stuff. Ogilvy's on advertising is kind of a must read. Elements of Style, I'm just kind of naming off some of the ones I've got lying around. Those are kind of the gold standard, and then it's you read them, you keep them on hand as reference material, and then you start working and actually applying what you learned and practicing your craft. And that's what I failed to do for most of the year. Once I got into Hustlers University, now the real world, and started doing the copywriting stuff, I realized, hey, it's really not too hard. And the hard part is practicing and getting good at it. Learning it is pretty easy. Learning the conceptual parts of copywriting, like how to craft, an email, the different kind of templates you can use. That stuff's easy to learn, and you have references to go back on if you have to, go back and look at something that you forgot. But it's just the grind of 3 to 5 email practice writing the grind of writing 3 to 5 practice emails a day, and then obviously the grind of doing client outreach. That's where you need to focus on, is the stuff that's actually going to make you better, noticeably, and the stuff that's going to bring you money. So client outreach, fulfilling the clients, whatever you're doing for them. That's where your money is. It's not going to be found in knowing a bunch of shit. It's not going to be found in reading a book. You can learn the skill, and then you need to go and immediately apply it. And that's where I think my biggest problem was, and why I didn't reach my 2022 goals, was I was still caught up in this, I need to read all this esoteric knowledge to get to where I want to be. And I know that I preached, reading in I think September when I was doing the daily videos. It's I read a lot. And I'm kind of the mindset now. It's hey, just go figure it out. Go figure it the fuck out in the real world. There's a guy that I follow on Twitter named Brute de Force, and it was maybe in a Twitter space, or maybe it was a tweet that he put out where he talked about, books not really being necessary. It's so what it was a space, one of his little just rants. And the world is moving too fast, essentially what he believes and what he says, and I agree with him to an extent, where the world is moving too fast for you to be able to sit down and read a book. Sit down and enjoy and actually learn, and then be able to apply it. The time you spent reading is time that you should have been out there applying, or learning it in the real world, figuring out on the fly. That's the fastest way to learn things, instead of just kind of conceptualizing, musing, and that's interesting. Again, I'm a huge reader. I got in trouble at school for reading, I was that kid in the back of class, trying to read a freaking dense ass chapter book while the teacher was giving a lecture. So, hearing that, I was I was kind of mad. I was I like reading. What do you mean books are bad? But then I realized it's hey, you have to be adaptable. And with the way the world is moving and how fast it's moving, you got to be fast. And reading is just too slow. So, an alternative to this obviously is audiobooks. So Audible. I'm not sponsored by Audible, but I mean, hey, if you want to, hit me up. But like audiobooks, there's Scribd too. I use Scribd honestly more. I don't have an Audible subscription. I have a Scribd subscription, and it's like a document kind of sourcing site, and they also have a ton of audiobooks on there. So that's kind of what I use if I do need to listen to an audiobook, or I'll find it on YouTube. There's a lot of free audiobooks on YouTube, surprisingly. So, yep, that's moving into 2023. That's kind of the target, is read the necessary material and immediately apply, and or just figure it out on the fly in the real world and fix problems as they come up, instead of trying to know all the answers to every single problem before even starting. That's how you axe momentum, and that's how you don't complete your goals, like I learned. So hope this podcast was enjoying for you guys. Kind of just all over the place with this one, but this Friday we will have Battle Drill 1 Alpha for the lethality series. So squad attack, kind of the bread and butter ranger class, for the few rangers that I know are watching this. Bread and butter, Battle Drill 1 Alpha. We're going to do it. We're going to do it in proper ranger style. So hope to see you there. We might try and do a class live. I think that might be kind of fun. Let me know. Like, if you're still watching this, let me know if you want me to do like a live class on something, where I go live and just share my screen, kind of do the same deal that I've been doing before. And then, it won't be as polished as some of the other stuff I put out, obviously, but like recording it, having it be live, and then posting it up after. So I think that might be actually pretty cool. So we might try that maybe with this class. Like, this one's kind of a big, a big class here. So let me know what you think. I'll probably put a poll up in the community posts, but yep, that's it for today. Hope y'all enjoyed it. Take care. Brush your hair. I'll see you when I see you. Peace.